Hi, this is Arthur Robinson Jr. I'm the creator of PowerfulInterviews.com and I'm the creator of AudioSecretsTrainingEvent.com. I want to welcome each and every one of you to this powerful video. In this interview, you're going to hear exclusively about life-changing information that you will not find anywhere else. You're going to hear from a great friend of mine. His name is Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh is the owner of Power Team International, and he is the owner of the Rainmaker Show. In this interview, you're going to hear inside secrets, how to grow your business and take it to $1 million level, and much, much more. So right about now, go get your pen and your pad, sit back and relax, and write down some notes. In this interview, you're going to hear exclusively from my great friend Bill Walsh, and he's going to break down layman's terms how you can take your brand to $1 million level and how you can make real money by being a great, amazing speaker. This interview is going to change your life. So check it out.
You are experiencing a life-changing, powerful interview, and you are hearing it first from Arthur Robinson Jr.'s PowerfulInterviews.com.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Bill, for taking time out of your busy schedule to educate me and the listeners worldwide about your powerful book, The Obvious, and how business owners can build a multi-million-dollar business. I gladly appreciate it.
Well, I'll tell you what, all the things that you're doing, too, to educate and inspire people is so awesome. So my job becomes easy because the bottom line is people are looking for new, great ways, to create more wealth, have more fun, make more money. They just need to help to get there, that's all. If they could get there by themselves, they would.
To anyone listening on this call, I highly recommend go and get your pen and your pad right now. Bill Walsh is going to break down layman's terms how business owners can build a multi-million-dollar business, and he's actually going to jump into his powerful book, The Obvious. Now, what I'd like to know, Bill, and can you explain to the listeners in layman's terms, who is the powerful Bill Walsh? How long have you been in your powerful industry, and what is your expertise? And can you break down layman's terms so the listeners fully understand what inspired you to write your powerful book, The Obvious?
A lot of it, Arthur, is the fact that I didn't come from a whole lot of money. I was literally born in a, middle class or even lower middle class family in the south side of Chicago. We didn't have a lot of money.
Wow.
But I think for me it was that I was always hungry, right? I was always willing to do the extra work that other people wouldn't do. When they were going to bed, I was waking up. When they were waking up, I was still figuring out new ways to make the day even more powerful. So I think it was about being present to the opportunities around me and not taking anything for granted. But a lot of it was a change because I was always about what could I get, and the big change came when I figured out what could I give. And once I got to the what I could give, then the universe started to open up, and I started to have a whole lot more success by realizing these are the things it takes to make it happen. You know what I mean? And that was a big change for me. I think a lot of people are always trying to figure out what they can get instead of saying, how can I serve? And that's what I love about what you do, is that you're all about serving people and giving back and making a difference.
Well, I believe in that powerful statement fully because I don't like what I see what's on the news, so I create my own news.
I like your news. Because your news is the positive that people need. They're so programmed to negative. If you wake up to negative, go to bed to negative, you're going to become negative. There's just no way around it.
That's true.
That's what most people get stuck with. They get stuck with, negative family, negative friends. They want to pull them down. They hate when they're doing better. And the funny thing is that when you start to do better, believe it or not, you inspire more people. It's just that sometimes the people that are closest to you don't like the fact that your status is going to change and theirs are going to remain the same.
Can you repeat that powerful statement? Because I want the listeners to absorb that powerful statement in their brains.
Well, it's just that so often that, when you start to change the people around you, right, they don't like that change because their life's going to stay the same while yours is moving on. And of course, any kind of change for most people really is very difficult for them because they're so used to being in, their comfort zone, which at the end of the day was really an uncomfort zone. They just don't realize it. And all of a sudden what starts to happen is when you can really help people understand that there's so much more that they're capable of doing. Once they start to do it, it's funny because they'll look back and say, how could I have ever done those other things when I had so much more potential inside?
Let's talk about a paradigm shift. What does it take for business owners to become very, very successful in regards to changing their mindset from negative thinking to take action thinking?
Well, success is a series of small successes, right? That's the thing that people don't realize. They think that all these overnight success stories, it was 15 years in the making. They don't realize that the greatest two things you can do to succeed is, number one, you have to be persistent, which means you can never quit, which means you literally have to put your head down, and you got to make sure that you're on the right path, because I know people say, well, never quit. Well, never quit going in the wrong direction. You're probably still never going to get there. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
So persistence, realizing that you have to be doing what I call perfect practice. Find people that are already successful in the space you want to be successful in, and then simply model what they do. And the second part of the equation, and this is when most people fail, because I offer this challenge to audiences all the time, and I say, what are the two key factors in creating success? I'll give you $100 right now. Just come up to the front. You can just fill in the second blank. And people put in their passion and love and success and dedication and education. See, the funny thing is that most people don't realize that part number two is called failure. It seems that most success stories, they've failed their way to the top. Go back to Lincoln. He lost every election, right? Every election up till Senate and the presidential race. He lost everything. Disney, went bankrupt 5 or 7 times. Edison failed 10,000 times. Michael Jordan got cut from his high school basketball team. Look at all these dropouts. Bill Gates, dropout. So you start to realize that all these people all have similar things in common, but the only way they became massively successful is that, number one, they were persistent. If Edison quit on the light bulb at 9,000 tries, well, then we wouldn't have light as we know it today, right?
That's
but
true.
The difference is he wasn't going to quit, right? He just kept saying every time it was one step closer where it needed to be. And then the other part of that equation is making sure that, are you surrounding yourself with the right people? So, failure is going to happen. And my good friend Les Brown always says, if you can look up, you can get up. And I believe that. I believe literally when you come to that turning point, that challenging point that either you can quit and go hide or you can really step up and shine, that's where most people fail. When the going gets tough, you're going to define somebody's character. That's when you realize how good or how strong or how solid they are. It's not the adversity that you face, it's how you face the adversity. It's a huge thought change process for most people, because for most people the adversity shows up and they let them get it down and they just say, I quit. Instead of saying, here's the adversity, how do we deal with it? How do we go through it? And how do we go to the next level?
So successful people do what unsuccessful people only think about doing.
Yeah, but sometimes the unsuccessful don't even think about that. They just think about the results. They just think, I want this or I want that, but they never think about the whole process that it takes to make it happen. Nothing happens overnight. You've got to invest time and commitment, and you've got to actually put the effort into it. Because if not, it's not going to happen. And it doesn't matter if it's money, business, relationship, whatever it is. Just think about it. Think about the things in your life that have really given you the greatest joy, right? They've all probably required, right, some time and effort on your part to make them become a reality.
That is absolutely true, because basically your greatest commodity is you. You are your greatest investment.
Absolutely.
Now, let's say that we have people on the call that are professional speakers, and they are thinking about putting on their own events or their own seminars.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them, Bill, from your perspective on how can they actually fill the seats when they're putting on their own seminars and their own events, especially when they're just starting out?
Well, the first thing I'd recommend they do is that, we have a speaker course. We have a camp that's 5 days long that's designed to help any speaker build a true and real speaker business. Build their products, teach them how to fill events, create their website, shoot their videos, literally put them into the speaker business. And then we work with them for a year. So it's a 1-year apprentice program, because we actually put them on a stage when they finish our course to go sell their product, their service, something they're a specialist in. So the first thing they have to do is be a specialist, right? You really have to be someone that owns a specific niche. Don't be a generalist, be a specialist, because you'll find specialists get wealthy, generalists get paid. And so once they've got that out of the way, if they're going to build an event, the biggest thing is if you're going to do it in a local market, and if you're doing it for free or you don't have a big budget, you launch what's called a mastermind team. Find 10 people that will come to your house or come to your business that will all commit to building out the event. If you can't get 10 people to the mastermind, there's no reason to having an event if you're trying to build it internally. Does that make sense? Because if you can't get 10 to a mastermind, you certainly won't get 100 to an event. And then the other thing, too, is if you're going to advertise for it, there's lots of great free ways. Craigslist, Meetup, But the number one way that I've found to actually get new bodies out to a room is find somebody that already has what I call a core influence. That already has a group, whether it's a church leader, a pastor, a business owner, someone that's in a personal development group or a networking group or any type of group like that. Get to a leader that already has a core group and work with them directly to help fill your event if your message is congruent with their audience. And the rest is just doing it. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. If you have 5 people for your first meeting, hey, listen, you had 5. You had 25 for the next one, you got 25. But so much of this is understanding that there's no one magic bullet. It's saying, what are the 10 things that I can do effectively to help fill the room? And that's how I do it. You know, obviously we run more than 100 events a year designed to help entrepreneurs, and sometimes we have 10 people, sometimes we have 1,000 people. It's always different, but at the end of the day, it's touching one life can make a massive difference in someone's future existence, and know that you're a part of it is certainly worth that time. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so if somebody has an interest, you know, we launched the website. It's easy. They can go and fill out a form. It's an application process. It's millionairespeakers.net. And then the referred form, just put down Arthur, that Arthur sent you from the radio show, and we'll give you guys some really amazing. And I'll go through your stuff, and I'll tell you point blank if I think the program you offer is really something that's going to work selling from the stage. You know, Arthur, as you know, I speak on the largest stages in the world, Peak Potential, Success Resources, with people like Mark Victor Hansen, Robert Allen, T. Harv Eker. So I understand what it means. The Small Business Expos, we do the big one in New York, May 10th. We do Chicago May 18th, and then we do LA in November. You know, we'll do something free for all your listeners too. If they want to come, we'll give them some all-comp tickets to a couple of events if they want to come out. But these are really designed, once again, to elevate the consciousness of entrepreneurs worldwide.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, when it comes to putting on your own events and your own seminars, from your perspective, Bill, do you have to be different in regards to creating your own UVP, unique value proposition, among other speakers that are putting on events?
It depends what kind of event you're doing, right? If you're doing a multi-speaker event, for sure, you want to have a specific purpose for the event. If you're doing your own event to promote your own core programs and services, you want to have absolute clarity. When we produce our Vision to Wealth events, which we do in cities all over the world, they're coming for 3 main reasons. Number 1, do some networking. Number 2, to learn some amazing success education. And number 3, to leave there with new customers.